Welcome to Story Time with me, Miss Sheila. I hope you're having a wonderful and beautiful day. Today's story is called Hammering for Freedom. Wow, Hammering for Freedom. So let's find out what this is all about. Oh, inside it says Hammering for Freedom, the William Lewis story. One starry night in 1810, William Bill Lewis was born on a plantation in Winchester, Tennessee. Bill and his family were enslaved and worked long, grueling days in Colonel Lewis's fields. Each evening, after the sun had disappeared and had taken all the colors with it, Bill and his mother, aunt, brothers, and sisters returned to their little cabin, exhausted. Bill watched his mother, Jenny, droop like a wilted flower and lower herself onto a rickety stool to rest. He stood close to comfort her and wished he could do more. So there she is. They worked very long hours and very hard. As soon as Bill was old enough to grip a hammer, Colonel Lewis decided that the young boy should be a blacksmith. Bill put away Bill put away tools, swept ashes, and hauled coal and water. Later he learned to fits fit hinge joints together, make and repair tools, and work with fire. Bill had not asked to become a blacksmith, but he was very good at it. People paid Colonel Lewis to have Bill fix their broken things. He earned so much money fixing old tools and creating new ones that Colonel Lewis let Bill keep a little money for himself. As Bill's stacks of coins grew, so did his hopes and dreams. Each coin he saved brought him closer to purchasing his freedom. Once he was free, he could spend his money on whatever he wanted, and what he wanted to was to free his whole family. Wow. Year after year, Bill hammered steel, and he forged tools and saved the few coins he was allowed to keep. When he was in his 20s, he married a kind woman named Jane, and a few years later, they had a son named Aloud. As Bill his plump, settled his plump, squirming baby in the crook of his arm, he felt a new weight of responsibility. He would have to work longer and harder if he was going to change his family's circumstances. Bill had been doing more than saving all these years. He had also been planning. He knew slave owners often rented out enslaved men and women to make extra money. So Bill decided to ask Colonel Lewis to let him rent himself. If the colonel agreed, Bill's time would be his own to work day and night, as many hours as he could, until he saved enough to free not only Jane and Elridge, but also his mother and his aunt and brothers and sisters. Colonel Lewis thought carefully about this proposal. He had one condition. Pay me $350 a year to rent your freedom. Condition. Pay me and you can keep whatever else you earn. Bill agreed. At 27 years old, he set his daring plan into motion. After he paid Colonel Lewis the rent from his savings, Bill still had enough money to open his own blacksmith shop. Oh, nice! He chose the perfect location, a bustling little city called Chattanooga, that needed a handy blacksmith. Bill packed his tools and his dreams, and with a heavy heart left Jane and baby Elbridge and his other family members behind. In 1837, when he opened his shop on Market Street, Bill made history as the first African American blacksmith in the city. Wow. Ding, ding. Wearing a thick leather apron to protect against flying sparks, Bill went to work on his first job. The bell and the clapper for a little log building sitting right in the middle of town. When the bell sounded, Chattanoogans would know a town meeting was about to begin. Every morning, while the sky was still purple and blue, Bill stretched his muscles and gripped a hammer. Clang, clang, clang. All through the days, his hammer sang its song. The white hot iron spat liquid fire as Bill forged and shaped and mallets and other instruments, which he sold for 50 cents or $1 to his many customers. Ding, cling. When other shops closed for the day, Bill kept working. He didn't stop until the burnt orange sky faded to patchy black. And working so hard. Bill was ready for the next step in his plan, buying Jane's freedom. Once Jane was free, any future children she and Bill would, would also be free. Bill traveled back to the Lewis plantation with a white escort who would handle the transaction with the colonel. Bill and Jane held their breath as the escort handed over the payment. This makes $1,000, said Colonel Lewis. Jane is free. The expressions on Bill and Jane's faces did not change in front of the colonel. But when they were safely home in Chattanooga, they celebrated Jane's freedom. I bet. Bill got right to work. Ding ching. Bill's workday consisted of more than just fixing old tools. He also created special nails that could be used to secure horseshoes, and he sold them for a few pennies each. When he built new wagons that farmers used to haul vegetables, hay, and family members, Bill charged as much as $5.50 per job. People everywhere depended on Bill's callous, talented hands. After many bony, weary years, Bill returned to Winchester. $1,000, Colonel Lewis announced. Then he placed some papers in Bill's hand. Bill had never learned how to read, but he knew what those papers read. Free, he whispered, I'm free. Now Bill is free himself. Still, there was no time to waste. Alridge was still enslaved, Bill thought. He needed to save his money all over again to buy his son's freedom. Clang, clang. Hammer and steel rang out as Bill forged every kind of axe, kitchen tool, and utensil imaginable. Customers came from far and wide to buy what Bill had made. Whoa, what a hard-working man. Bill returned to Winchester and paid Colonel Lewis $400. Then, with a song in his heart, he took Elridge home to Chattanooga. Ding, ding, clang. Elridge proudly watched his father plunge the sizzling tools deep into the water trough. As he grew, Elridge arranged the new tools on the wall and helped customers in the shop. Wow. Busy as he was, Bill always had time to be a good neighbor. He chatted with customers about the latest news and hired men who needed jobs. He also worshiped in the local Methodist church. The church was segregated, but everyone sang together in songs of praise. Bill's neighbors, his customers, and the members of the congregation grew to love him as an important member of the community. In 1851, Bill paid the colonel $300, the total asking price for his elderly mother and aunt. His mother, Jenny, and his aunt hurried toward him with open arms. Then Jenny laid her head on Bill's shoulders. Hallelujah, she whispered. They were finally free. Bill wanted to shout with joy, but he noticed his siblings' faces. His sister was wiping away tears. His brothers waved slowly, and hung their heads, and Bill clenched his jaws with determination. He would simply have to work harder to buy their freedom too. Cling, ching, and Bill slung his hammer with such force that his face was drenched with sweat, and his chest felt as if it might explode. Somehow he kept working. Dozens of bluish purple sunrises and burnt orange sunsets passed before he returned to Winchester with $2,000 to buy freedom for his two brothers. When Bill was nearly 50, he and Jane realized they needed a bigger house for their 10 children, and extended family. Bill chose a 2-story home with lots of bedrooms and a big front porch that the family could enjoy. People were stunned when Bill paid $2,000 in cash for the house. Most white men could not pay that much money for a home in those days. Bill and his family settled in and planted a big vegetable garden. The house was more crowded than ever, but someone was missing. Bill's sister was still enslaved. What Bill did, Bill was much older now than when he first put his plan into action, but he kept on slinging his hammer and saving his money until his sister could finally join them. 26 years after Bill's arrival in Chattanooga, his plan was complete. He had worked, sweated, and prayed. Now he finally has his loving family around him, and just like when he was a boy, only now they were all free. That not incredible? And then look at the back of the book. It shows the picture of the family. Wow. I so hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope you learned from it and inspired you to keep working hard and keep sticking to your plan and don't let anybody stop you. Until next time with me, Miss Sheila, have a wonderful, beautiful day and keep shining your beautiful light.